And I now call upon the Assistant Minister for Finance, the Honourable Esrom Immanuel, for his contribution. You have the floor, sir.
Honourable Speaker, sir, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers, the Honourable Leader of Opposition, and fellow Honourable members. I rise in support of the 2023-2024 national budget, which is termed the budget for a new Fiji, rebuilding our Fiji together. And I take this opportunity to commend the Minister for Finance, Honourable Professor Biman Prasad, for a well-crafted, inclusive, balanced, and responsible budget. Yes. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of Opposition mentioned that the budget is a big spending one. But he didn't mention it's big on revenue as well. If he looks carefully, both revenue and expenditures were increased because of the need based on prioritized expectations. It's not politics, Mr. Speaker, sir. Most all the ministries and independent bodies and commissions have an increase in this budget. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to state over here, it's not a boom budget or a fluffy budget that we normally expect to be presented as happened in the past years. This budget puts our fiscal situation on a path of sustainability. This budget directs adequate resources with a clear game plan to fix our infrastructure, address our water problems, improve health facilities, and lift public service delivery. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget ensures that our vulnerable, including those that are poor, elderly, disabled, or disadvantaged, are protected. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have spent most of my life working in the private sector and worked on corporate budgets. And this was my first experience of working with the Honourable Minister for Finance and a team of dedicated and qualified professionals at the Ministry of Finance to put together this national budget. I must thank the Permanent Secretary for Finance, CEO of the FRCS, and the entire team at the Ministry for their selfless service to the nation and for their collaborative and valuable professional support towards the first budget of the coalition government. Mr. Speaker, sir, over the last few days, we have received overwhelming support for the budget from every sector of society and economy. Our people are happy for being genuinely involved in the budget process and having their say in its formulation, and for being actively informed in a transparent manner in the build-up to the budget presentation and deliberations. Our civil society groups have welcomed the freedom to diagnose the budget, ask questions, demand clarity, and openly criticize any aspects of the budget without fear. This didn't happen in the last how many budgets that we have. Our media has been able to report freely, keep the public informed, and the government in check. All this, Mr. Speaker, sir, has built a lot of trust between the government and our people, and is inspiring confidence in the economy. Our businesses have welcomed the budget and government's commitment to improve the ease of doing business, simplify the overall tax regime, and create a conducive and stable environment for business activity and investments. Our tertiary students and their families have welcomed the budget for the relief that they have gained from the thousands of dollars relief of their soldiers. Our social welfare recipients, pensioners, and ex-servicemen are happy with the increase in their allowances. Our development partners have quietly applauded the budget for being responsible and inclusive, and in fact, we were told that many in the opposition are also happy, although they might criticize the budget publicly. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition's reply seems to have been the same tired old rhetoric that the government has been hearing for many years, and that led to the mess that we have had to deal with for 60 years. In fact, there was very little in his response which makes economic sense to make an alternative budget. Again, no alternative budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, the nation has suffered a lot over the years, and the coalition government has inherited a lot of challenges to deal with. We inherited a large debt of close to 10 billion. I was surprised that the former de facto leader of the opposition cunningly engineered himself out of parliament, as he knew he had to answer for these ill-conceived and disastrous economic policies that led to this mess. Mr. Speaker, sir, in his own words, the fact of the matter is he will go down in Fiji's history as the leader that took Fiji to the brink of economic disaster. I thank God we have had a change of government and a Prime Minister and a Minister of Finance who knows what they are talking about. Our health facilities have deteriorated over the lack of attention and underinvestment. Our people have been struggling with daily water cuts. Our roads, especially in rural areas, have been left unattended, and there have been no real focus on overall rural and maritime development. This they did not mention in their speeches. This budget, Mr. Speaker, sir, sets the foundation. Again, I wish to say the foundation to deal with these chronic challenges. We are confident that by working together with our people, we will eventually bring back prosperity and development. We will build a future that is secure for everyone and make sure that our future generations do not inherit this mess. Our economy is rebounding quickly, people are optimistic, and there is a renewed sense of hope. Our state coffers are being stabilized, revenue levels are picking up, wastages have been put under control, and we have redirected taxpayers' funds to more productive purposes. We are strengthening mechanisms for proper scrutiny of projects before any funding is allocated to them. We are strengthening monitoring and evaluation to ensure that we get value for money. And we are tightening processes to eliminate peripheral cronyism, which used to be a practice in the past. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the Office of the Auditor General, as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I am pleased that we are strengthening the Office of the Auditor General. The Cabinet had earlier endorsed the review of the Audit Act 1969, which will strengthen the legislative framework and give the Office of the Auditor General more independence towards external scrutiny of how public funds have been used. We will ensure that the Act is aligned to international best practices, and we will do all this in proper consultative manner. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also making sure that the Office of the Auditor General is well resourced, and the budget allocation for the office has been increased to 7 million, an increase of 1.2 million. This increase will ensure that we are able to get in the right people with appropriate skills and with proper resources to keep the government in check with proper accountability of taxpayers' funds. To clear the backlog of audits that have been dragging for some time under the previous government, the Office of the Auditor General has been allocated a specific budget of around 722,000 to fast-track these pending audits through the engagement of external auditing firms. A further 552,000 is allocated to clear the audit backlog for provincial councils and Matangali Trust. Mr. Speaker, sir, we will work together with the Office of the Auditor General to make sure that moving forward, audit reports are up to date and presented in a timely manner for Parliament's scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Finance is also undergoing several reforms to strengthen our public financial management system, tighten compliance, and promote good governance. We are reviewing the legislative guidelines, including the financial instructions, procurement regulations, finance manuals, and other policies and procedures to ensure that taxpayers' resources are used efficiently and effectively. The Ministry has adopted a new public sector investment program, PSIP, guidelines which will assist with proper due diligence and cost-benefit analysis in the appraisal and selection of public sector projects that was missing in the years past. All capital projects will now go through these stringent processes, which will ensure that we do not fund regrettable projects that do not give us the right return and value for money. Through this process, monitoring and evaluation will also be tightened with timely tracking of projects to make sure that we deliver projects on time and at the right cost. The newly established Strategic Planning Office with a budget allocation of 3.4 million will beef up project coordination and delivery and support the overall development of a pipeline of bankable projects for future funding. The office will also start work on a new development plan from next year. The Planning Office, Mr. Speaker, sir, will also ensure that we monitor the implementation of expenditure laid out in the budget. There is so much to do, Mr. Speaker, that Ministry will have to be on their feet to ensure that we are able to address so many challenges in every sector of our economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry is also in the process of upgrading the finance management information and payroll system to modernize government's accounting system and replace the almost 2-decade-old FMIS that has served its purpose now. This transition will enhance efficiency with availability of real-time financial data, improve responsiveness in budget execution and monitoring, introduce better accounting controls, and mitigate any risk from cyber security challenges. A funding of 14 million is allocated in its budget, and we would like to thank the Asian Development Bank for all the technical support provided towards this transition. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Finance is also in the process of automating its budget system with an allocation of 2 million. This will be integrated with the new FMIS system and make national budgeting more efficient and easier compared to the current manual system. Mr. Speaker, sir, gender-responsive planning and budgeting efforts have been a key feature of recent budgets. Building on this progress, 18 government ministries had implemented gender budgeting in this budget. These ministries submitted their budgets that were better targeted at these beneficiaries, ensuring a fair an inclusive budget that takes into consideration the need to empower our women and ensure that public services are delivered equitably. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is exciting to note that the Ministry of Finance also has a gender equality social inclusion policy in place to facilitate the process of gender mainstreaming and gender responsive planning and budgeting. In its key role as guardian of government's finances, the Ministry of Finance plays an instrumental part in ensuring that gender mainstreaming is reflected in all aspects of the budget cycle. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also strengthening the Statistics Office, and reviews underway for the Statistics Act, which will give more independence to the Fiji Bureau of Statistics. The Bureau is provided an increased funding of $7.6 million in this budget, an increase of $3.2 million. This increased funding will cater for the employment and unemployment survey, which will provide up-to-date data on our labor force and employment conditions. On Fiji Revenue and Customs Services, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Fiji Revenue and Customs Services is an important part of government. It supports the delivery of government service by ensuring that taxes are collected in a timely and transparent manner. To equip FRCS with the right resources, an increased funding of $45 million is provided in this budget. This will support FRCS in implementing its newly unveiled strategic plan, which is focused on FRCS becoming a customer-centric organization, an employer of choice, and to support the overall transformation of FRCS, including digitalization. On TEL's write-off, Mr. Speaker, sir, was part of the working group that was set up to guide the write-off of TEL's debt, and I'm pleased that 53,750 students and their families are now relieved of their debt and is replaced with a fairer and less burdensome bonding arrangement. The forgiveness of $650 million of TEL's debt reiterates the commitment of the coalition government, its promise to our students who are the future of our country. This ensures that our future is secured without the burden of debt and loan repayment as they start earning. Moving forward, Mr. Speaker, sir, all our students will have the opportunity to get a scholarship which they do not have to repay. This is the biggest relief that has been provided to thousands of our students and families. On Itauke development and empowerment, Mr. Speaker, sir, the 2023-2024 budget also provides a range of measures to strengthen our Itauke institutions and bring about improvements in the lives of the Itauke, including government's commitment to promote and preserve Itauke culture, customs, traditions, and language. Again, I thank God for the change in government, as had it not changed, the Itaukes and the institutions would have been subjected to the sunset clause ideology. In the 2023-2024 budget, the coalition has recognized some of its needs and has provided support to the 14 provincial councils to effectively address the issues faced by our Itauke communities. For the 14 provincial councils, government will now cater for the cost of operations for each council, which is to be funded through the Soli Niasana. In addition to this, government has increased the Turanganikoro monthly allowance from 100 to 150, who support village leadership and ensure good governance and well-being in Itauke village community at a total cost of $2.1 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Matanitikina quarterly allowance have also been increased by $150 per quarter for 262 Matanitikinas. The Matanitikina is responsible for communicating and assisting the Turangani Koro with the implementation of new government policies and strategies and address issues faced by its tikina to the Boss Vanua for the formulation of an efficient and effective dispute resolution mechanism in the village council. Government has also recognized the importance in the decision-making role of the Turangani Abusa and therefore have provided a monthly allowance of $100 for 648 Turangani Abusa under the Vanua Leadership Allowance allocation with a budget of $777,000. And that is just a start, Mr. Speaker, sir. This will assist the leaders of Vanua in effective and efficient contribution to the Vanua. Mr. Speaker, sir, through the 2022-2023 budget, Ministry of Itauke Affairs has been allocated $2 million for village development program, which aims to provide assistance for the physical beautification and general improvement of living standard in Itauke villages and settlements, including a further $4 million for Itauke land development. All this, Mr. Speaker, sir, will strengthen Itauke development and empowerment and will support the overall development of our nation. With this contribution, Mr. Speaker, sir, I fully support the budget before this House.
Thank you, the Honorable Assistant Minister of Finance.